Welcome to Metaverse Adventures. My name is Immersive Matthew. Today is July 20th, and this is your Oculus Quest Week in Review. And this week's news is a little different than what we've seen for the past few months. As always, we'll start off with the Quest hype cycle. We'll then talk about all the shipping issues that a lot of you are having and trying to get a hold of your Quest. And then we'll talk about a couple new games that hit the store this week, and there's some cool ones in there that you might want to check out, especially if you're hungry for new titles. We'll talk about a couple SideLoad apps, and then the weird part is the community section. It is huge, and there is just so much going on, and some of it is truly mind-blowing. So you're not going to want to miss that section. Plus, at the very end, we're going to make a really cool announcement for those of you who like to dance, like good music, and are looking for ways to meet other Metaverse Adventure members. So stay tuned for that awesome news. So grab yourself a drink, a snack, sit down, relax, and let's get into the news. All right, so let's start off like we do every week by going over to Google Trends and having a look at the data. And this is search data from all around the world on Oculus Quest, the Valve Index, and the Oculus Rift S. And this data I've been reporting on now since April 29th, and as we all know, it peaked originally on the 1st, and then it peaked again on the 21st of May when the Quest came out, and then it settled back down, but it still remained fairly high, higher than even the high it had before back on the 1st. So things are looking interesting for the Quest, and over the last month or so, it's remained relatively the same. The amount of people searching for the term Oculus Quest has remained similar, and this week is absolutely no exception. It's the same thing again. It's sort of staying very even, and I'm surprised based on the shipping issues that we're having, because it doesn't seem like the interest is escalating. It seems like it's still very high and remaining high, but it's not going up. So no one should be caught off guard with even more people looking for quests. However, we don't have all the data on sales and what's really going on, and I'll talk about that more in just a few minutes because there's some interesting things on the shipping side. And then last week, I also, just for fun, threw out the Nintendo Switch Lite just to show how far VR has to go to really hit the masses. But this week, looking at the same data, I'm a little surprised as to how much the Nintendo Switch Lite dropped in a week. I'm shocked. Like, look at that data. It really fell off. Now, I don't know where it's going to go from here on out. I suspect it will go back up, especially as we head towards Christmas, or not. So I am really curious to see how this particular product and the Oculus Quest, how their two data streams compete with each other over the next 6 months. And it is something that I am really excited to report on, along with comparing the Quest to all other VR platforms. If you want me to compare it to something, go ahead and leave me a note in the comments. On the Amazon side, just like last week, again, neither the 64 gigabyte or the 128 gigabyte are on the Amazon Top 100. And it makes sense because when you go to those products, the 64 gigabyte right now is temporarily out of stock as its official status. And there's no date exactly on when it's coming. And that's unusual because a lot of times they'll put a date out there when they expect to get stock. So I don't know what is going on at Amazon. The 128 gigabyte model you can get your hands on, but you're going to be waiting for at least 1 to 2 months. So they're saying today that if you order it, you'll be getting it by Monday, August 19th, and as late as Friday, September 13th. And that is a long wait. Good news is, however, that Oculus is shipping a little sooner on their end. The 64 gigabyte model is shipping by August 2nd, and the 120 gigabyte model is shipping by August 29th. Metaverse Adventure subscribers, Nick Southwell, let me know this week that they ordered theirs on the 12th and it was not supposed to arrive from Oculus until the 26th. However, they, surprise, surprise, got it on the 16th. So that's only 4 days from order. So Oculus was really on point on that one. I don't know what your experiences are. I would say, generally reading by in the comments, a lot of people are having decent experiences with Oculus and their dates of delivery seem to be relatively accurate, plus or minus a few days. And in this case, a lot more days earlier. So both the 64 and the 128, if you're gonna get them, probably the best way right now is through Oculus. However, there are other options. For instance, Best Buy, their 64 gigabyte model may be shipping around the 17th. However, Metaverse Adventure subscriber Stony Avid noted that they've been noticing that the dates on Best Buy change almost on the daily. Sometimes many times throughout the day. 1 minute is 2 weeks, and there's a 2-day delay. So I think it's really as inventory comes in, that date goes down, and as inventory runs out, the date goes back up again. So maybe going to bestbuy.com and hitting that refresh throughout the day, and as soon as you see it there for 2 or 3 days shipping, jump on it, because that might be all their stock. Best Buy also has 128 gigabyte, and all it says there is getting more soon. So similar to what we're seeing with the 64 gigabyte on Amazon, and no date to saying when soon is. So could be days, could be weeks, who knows? However, Metaverse Adventure subscriber Chris FYB2X has discovered that when they go around their local California Best Buys, they're noticing that a lot of them have at least one Quest in stock. So maybe for those of you out there who are hitting a lot of F5 on the websites, maybe you might want to go and check out some of the brick and mortar stores in your area, because you might get lucky. Same with Walmart. So we've heard some people on this channel saying they pop into Walmart and they just happen to have 2 or 3 in stock. So keep your eye open. It doesn't seem like online is your only bet. Walmart, the last place I'll talk about this week, they also had the 64 gigabyte model. And again, like last week, it's marked up. It's now $678.30, so a little bit of a variation. And their 128 model is totally out of stock. So you can't even get that one from Walmart. And a lot of users point out in the comments that the prices for Walmart and Newegg, that $7.99 price that kind of blew all of our mind, wasn't necessarily those retailers. It was another third party called U Shop Mall. And while I do agree, it is a third party that's selling through the Walmart website, it's kind of a sneaky game. I've seen this in other industries as well where companies will do this. Walmart wants to be the king of low prices, and so they surely can't advertise the Quest for $7.99. But they outsource that part of their business to a third party, and that third party lists it at a higher price. Well, Walmart can wash their hands and say, we're still the lowest price, that's not our company. But you gotta understand, Walmart's taking a cut of whatever U Shop Mall sells. They're getting money from that. So it's kind of a sneaky game. Walmart is profiting from these higher prices, even though it's not technically their price. Same with Newegg and anybody else doing this, including Amazon, whose stores started all this. And I don't necessarily buy it, but it is what it is, and you can look at it either way. It's still $7.99. Someone's paying that much for it, and that is really mind-blowing and shows you the demand that these products are garnering right now. The one thing I want to say about shipping is that when I read all of your comments here for really the last month, I'm shocked at how many people are waiting to get a Quest, how many people keep on getting pushback dates on when they're going to get their Quest delivered. A few of you are getting it earlier than the date you thought. Some of you are getting lucky and walking into stores and finding it, and others are walking into stores for weeks and just be no stock. It just seems like it really depends on where you are in the world, what your local, demand is versus the supply. It's really hard, and it must be just murder for the people doing logistics for the Quest, because they don't know what the demand is going to be. Maybe they're becoming aware of it slowly now, but it's been like a month, and we're still seeing the same sort of shipping and delivery date issues and selling out of stock. It just seems like the demand or the supply, something is totally out of whack. And I have a feeling, based on the data we saw with Google Trends, that there might be some supply issues. And the reason why I say that is that the demand, at least for people searching on Google for Oculus Quest, has remained pretty consistent over the last month or so. Yet we've seen more and more shipping issues mounting over the last month or so. And of course, Google Trends data is not sales data. They don't correlate. There's probably some correlation in there, but we don't know what it is. We don't have the sales data to do a comparison to. But it is interesting. It would seem unusual that the demand for buying is going up, but the searching is staying the same. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, but we don't know. We don't have the data. It just kind of hints to me that there's something going on with manufacturing. And that's just absolutely conjecture. I have no evidence of this whatsoever, so I want to make sure that's clear. If I do have evidence, I will definitely let you know. But I do think there's some problems with shipping. And I guess it all come out of the wash at some point when we see the final sales numbers for this, first part of the Quest lifespan, because eventually one day we'll see them. But I don't think we're going to see them anytime soon. And I think that these shipping issues, it seems like they're going to go on, and I don't know for how much longer. I'm sure Facebook and Oculus are just pulling their hair out because they're missing sales. And maybe that's good. Maybe it's building up demand because, people are seeing it sold out, so it's getting a bit of attention in the media. But I think ultimately they would probably rather have those devices in people's hands because, as you know, Facebook really isn't making a lot of money off the Quest. It's going to be on the software. So they're more motivated to get you in your hands so you can start buying software for your Quest. The last thing I want to say on the shipping side, one of our Metaverse Adventure subscribers, Thanos Penguin, a cool name, they piped in and said that they've been using a website called Stock Informer to find out where the Quest is in stock, and it will send you emails. And he says that if you're really on top of it, you get a note saying that Best Buy's gone now. You get there right away. You might be able to scoop them up before somebody else does. And it scans a whole bunch of websites. So that's a cool advantage. I went to that website today, and when I put in Oculus Quest or even just Oculus as a product search term, it came back and said no results found. And I tested other products and it worked. So the search isn't broken. It just seems like maybe right now they don't have anything in their database for Quest. I don't understand. I'm a little bit surprised. And I reached out to Thanos to ask him, do I even have the right website? But stockinformer.com is one of the websites, and there's a few others like that. If you have any luck in those websites and you want to recommend it to our community, please go ahead and leave a comment below. All right, games available in the Oculus Quest store this past week. And there's a couple to talk about here. And the very first one is one that I talked about all the way back in May, and that is Racket NX. Racket NX is a sort of a sports game, a sort of racquetball inspired, but you're in this dome, and there's a lot more cool things about it than just passing it back and forth or hitting tiles and getting points and building up health, because you do take damage to your character in the game. It's both single player and multiplayer, and it really is a fantastic title for the Quest because it takes advantage of that 360. And there's one complaint I've had about this game in the past is the cord on my Rift or Vive. It would get so incredibly tangled that it would just get bunched up and be like pulling you to your PC at some point. So it's really cool not to have to worry about that cable, and it looks just as good in every way as the one on the PC. And in my brief playing with it, I didn't find too many tracking issues. If you see my video on tracking where I show that high-speed swings can actually cause the tracking to be lost on the touch controllers, I haven't found it to be too bad inside of Racket NX. Now, of course, if I swing as hard as I did in my video, I lose tracking. But I have found in a normal course of action, the way the speed of the ball, it doesn't seem to require you, and you don't feel like you want to hit the ball quite that hard. It's not that high of an intensity game, unlike Beat Saber and Expert Plus when you're flailing about at all sorts of speeds. So this game does seem like it's really good, and I think a lot of people are feeling the same way because already the game has got 5 out of 5 in the Oculus store. And it only came out just this few days ago. And what's really cool is that it already has over 100 reviews. Now you may say that's not a big deal, but if we look at Racket NX on the Rift, which has been out for nearly 2 whole years, it gets only 77 reviews. And in fact, it doesn't score quite as high, 4.8 out of 5. And when you review some of the lower reviews, some of them are because of that cable. So I can see why it's getting a better score on the Rift. So if you're into sports, whether single player, multiplayer, or you just want a general good workout, this is the cool game. And one of the things I like to compare it to is a little like Arkanoid, for those of you who remember that game back in the day. It's sort of like that in some ways. It's just a lot of fun. Highly recommend checking it out. Another game that came out in the store this week, and this one kind of came out of left field because last week we reported on it and asked all of you to go and make some noise and let Oculus know that you want this in the store, and boom, on the 18th this week, it was in the store. And that game, of course, is Gun Club VR. And I talked about last week that, Binary Mills' game here was a hit, had a lot of fun over in the Oculus Go. A lot of people said very good things about it, and you can actually even go and sideload it. If you bought the Go version, you can get the APK file and sideload it over to the Quest. So that is the way that some people were playing it. However, it's in the store now, like I said, and it's already got 79 reviews as well, which is unbelievable, and it gets a 4.6 out of 5. So it's even doing better, and I just find it interesting how fast that happened. Now, I don't know if that's because of the community making noise on Oculus.com. Who knows? Maybe it's been in the works for a while now, but we do know the game pretty much worked out of the box from the Go to the Quest. So there wasn't a lot of changes, but there are some improvements. People are saying that it looks better in some ways, and a couple other areas because of the foveated rendering, maybe it's a little bit more pixelated on the edges. But overall, people are very happy with this game. So if you're into shooting and you want to go into a gun club and shoot all sorts of cool targets and have really cool games and guns you can modify and turn the safety switch off and like some pretty cool realism here, this is something to go check out. And the last one that I want to talk about that's new in the store, and it's one I talked about back on June 15th, and that is I Expect You to Die's brand new add-on. It's their 6th episode, it's their 6th mission, and it's called The Seat of Power. And it was available early this week on the 16th. And as you know, it's made by Shale Games, and they've been ramping this game up for years now on all different platforms, and the Quest version is every bit as good and fun as all the previous editions. And nothing really lost here, which is really cool. If you own the game, it's already free downloadable content, so all you gotta do is load up your game and there it is. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of the 6th mission? Go ahead and tell me down below in the comments. I'm sure others would like to know your feedback. In this week's Experience and Apps section, we've got 2 titles we want to put on your radar. The first is Gravity Sketch. Gravity Sketch is something that I talked about all the way back on May 25th, that it was coming to the Quest, and finally, this week, it was made available. And for those of you who aren't familiar, Gravity Sketch is sort of like, a tilt brush, but it's less about drawing in the air and more about modeling 3D objects. And it's sort of kind of designed with that in mind. In fact, it's used by engineering teams to go and model cars and other objects. And with the Quest, now with multiple people able to jump into the same space, it has a lot of cool business applications. But even for your own use, a lot of people like to play with this tool, and the reviews are saying it does a great job on this, is to go ahead and model something in 3D, export it, which you can do on the Quest as well, and then go ahead and put it in something like Blender 3D and continue to work on it. And it's a great way to kind of get your models up and going quickly and using your hands versus a mouse point and click. So there's a lot of interesting benefits here. It already gets a 4.8 out of 5 on the Quest store, and that was quick. It only came out a few days ago. It has 17 reviews already as well, so that's a lot for this kind of app. And it's interesting because when you look at the Rift version of the same title, it got a 4.4 with only 34 ratings, and that's over the last year and a half. So it just shows you again, just like we saw with the other games, the Quest versions are getting a lot more reviews and really fast. It just shows you potentially how many users of the Quest are out there. I really wish that Facebook would publish something, because I'm dying to know, is it hundreds of thousands? Are we over 1 million yet? I don't know where it is, but probably somewhere in that range already. So Gravity Sketch in the store right now. Go ahead and check it out, especially if you're into modeling and want to do something creative inside this space. This is the way to go. And another really cool app that was put on my radar this week by Mark Williams, another Metaverse Adventure subscriber, was about the Mission ISS, the International Space Station. Yes, you get to take a trip into orbit. You get to experience life on board the International Space Station. It's an Emmy-nominated simulation, and it does a whole bunch of cool things in there, including sort of pseudo working in zero gravity, experiencing what that might be like. You get to dock the space capsule, which is that's kind of cool, and you even get to go out on a spacewalk. Plus, they have real astronauts kind of instructing you and telling you what to do. So it's a very immersive experience. It's made by Oculus Studios, and those who've tried it say it's really worth it. It's free. It already has 96 people rating it on the Oculus Store, and it gets a 4.6 out of 5. So if space is something you're interested in, you've always wanted to check out what it's like inside of ISS, this is it. This week's Sideload, we don't have a lot to cover, but we will start it off by talking about another game that you can sideload right now called Horror Nights Story for VR. And it's a teaser trailer here, and as you can see, it has an interesting kind of cartoonish-like style, sort of low poly style. It's an interesting game that what you're supposed to do is you gotta dig yourself out of freedom. So you're in the ground in this game, and you gotta dig yourself out of this old mine while running away from these bloodthirsty hordes of monsters that are coming at you. And they'll be chasing you all throughout. So you're gonna get clever in how you get past them. And the mine is equipped with 5 bombs that are set there to destroy it, which you have to then go and disable. This sounds like a pretty cool game, and it's free or it's by donation. It doesn't get a very high review on the Rift version, which is a 3 out of 5, so maybe caution here if you do proceed. But for a free game or throw a buck or two to the developer, this could be one to try out. And if you do like the game and you think it's something special, then go ahead and make some noise on the Oculus Quest subreddit. Let Oculus know there that you'd like to see this game officially on the store. And if you like it as well, make sure you go back and give them a bit of a donation, $1, $2, whatever it is you can offer. Every little bit helps these sort of independent developers. And the last Sideload story this week, and it's not a busy week like I said, is one called Beat On. Now, I talked about Beat On last week. It's a tool that allows you to basically download custom Beat Saber songs that aren't from the official app from websites like Saber, and this week they're including beatsaber.com as well. So now you can get your tracks from both sources, and that gives you a very large library of tracks to choose from. And people have reported that once you get it on there, it's game changing because their library is so big that all you gotta do is, you think of a song you'd love to play Beat Saber with, you go and search Beat On, and chances are someone has made a map for it. And so this is opening up a whole new door for Beat Saber, and those who are really into it find that this is actually like a whole nother game. So if you're into Beat Saber, you gotta go check out Beat On. And I know sideloading is a little bit daunting for some, but there's some really great videos, links below to some of the best ones on the web that walk you step by step on how to do it. And I think it's something you got to go check out. I think you could all do it. I think everybody could follow these instructions and get Beat On into their Beat Saber and access a plethora of awesome music. All right, that's the end of part 1. Part 2 will be out on July 22nd. And it's going to cover off games coming soon and a really massive community update that you're not going to want to miss. See you on Monday.